What is happening, everybody? My name is Julius, and I am here to talk about some nerdy stuff, exclusively nerdy stuff, because lately I've been talking to friends, just getting to know them, and some nerdy stuff has been brought up along the way, but this is a show dedicated specifically to the nerdiness of life. There's a lot of regular stuff in life that is kind of, is whatever to talk about, but the nerdy stuff, the pop stuff, the bam pow of life is more colorful and more attractive to discuss. So here in this video, we tolerate comics. So I'm joined by someone very special here. Who are you, sir?
I am Exley. I am I'm trying to do like a nerd. Well, no, I'm trying to do like a nerd crew.
Oh my god! Now, you have to sip really loudly into your. Very cool.
Very cool. Me personally, I loved it.
Even though I never watched it.
No, yeah, I am Exley. I am. Let me see. We met in
high school.
I was like a sophomore. I think you were like a junior or a senior.
Yes.
I don't remember. Yeah. And then we recently reconnected through a mutual friend of ours, Miles, who I'm sure you're probably gonna have on at some point.
At some point, probably.
And you say I know Lynn and Jacob mentioned him in the last one. But yeah. So I didn't say here to talk about nerdy stuff.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about this stuff with you because you and I can really discuss this stuff head on, deep and dirty and everything.
Yes.
Regarding comics. Like the first time we or not the first time, but when we got back in contact.
Yeah.
Thanks to Miles. We were just really going after each other to the point where Miles was like, I don't know.
What is this? I've never heard of these characters you're talking about. I haven't read these books. What are you saying?
What's a Charlton comic?
Oh, this makes me so sad. No one remembers Charlton. They have such good characters. They're what led to Watchmen.
Well, they don't know Charlton by name, but they know Peacemaker.
Well, yeah, they know. Well, now they know Peacemaker.
Now they know Peacemaker, Blue Beetle.
I didn't say everyone knows Blue Beetle. Everyone knows Question.
Captain Atom, even though he's more of the lesser known if they bring him into the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like if people know Atom, it's from either JLU or maybe Brave and the Bold is where people would have seen him.
Yeah, but probably more so Justice League Unlimited. For
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
At least people our age.
Yeah, for sure, our generation.
Yeah, and then no one uses Nightshade because she's kind of a boring character.
Yeah,
I mean, which shows up because Silk Spectre, who was inspired by her, she's kind of a boring character.
Well, until James Gunn brings her in.
Oh sure, yeah, I'm gonna say
something.
Yeah, I'm sure James Gunn will make something out of her. No one remembers Judo Master. Well, now they know Judo Master.
Now they do.
But I'm trying to think who else there is. Oh, and absolutely no one remembers Thunderbolt. No one remembers Thunderbolt.
I remember Johnny Lightning, I think.
No. This is a very different Thunderbolt.
Oh, Jesus.
The character that Ozymandias is based off of.
This is exactly why we tolerate comics.
Yes. Yeah. No one remembers Thunderbolts.
So to get us established in our conversation, actually, people know me slightly when it comes to this podcast. I want to know a little bit about you.
Yeah.
So the first question I'm going to ask you, what have you been reading lately, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, so I for like 4 years, like basically from the time I was like a junior in high school going like until the time that I graduated college, like 6 months ago, I just read basically no comics. I just didn't have one. I was feeling burnt out from like cape shit movies.
Yeah.
Just because like everything felt samey and homogenous, and it's always some big world-ending threat. It's like, that's not interesting to me. That's why I like Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil movies, because it's so small and it's so stripped down. So I was burnt out, and then also just because when you're a college student, you have no time or energy for that. So it's like, I can't do that. But now that I've graduated, it's like, oh, that's right. I really love comics.
Yeah. And
also I'm just at a point in my life where like, I'm trying to like rediscover like what brings me joy. Just because of life transition stuff. So I was like, oh, I should start reading comics and getting back into that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as stuff I've been reading recently, it's like and this was all precipitated by like me watching the Batman, basically. So I read The Doom That Came to Gotham, which is getting an animated adaptation.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Bruce Timm announced it just recently, which I'm excited about.
Well, did he announce it at Comic-Con?
It may have been.
Okay.
I was probably there. So Doom That Came to Gotham. I've been reading The Wayne Family Adventures and Batman Rise and Fall on Webtoon, both of which are surprisingly good. And then I've read like maybe the first 2 issues of Frank Miller's run on Daredevil recently.
Born Again?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know what arc it is. I just found like a volume 1 of Miller's run on Daredevil at the library, and he's like, "Oh, I should read this. It's been something I've been meaning to do for a while." And then I also read, what was it? I read like part of the first issue of the original run on Wonder Woman, just at the library. I picked it. I was like, "Oh, I should read this as well." And then I also been flipping through my Snyder Capullo trade paperbacks and hardbacks.
Batman?
Yeah, because that's probably like that's the stuff that I grew up with. It's the stuff that I like probably the most outside of Grant Morrison's,
like the Court of Owls era.
Yeah, the Court of Owls, which I
Bat
hope never gets adapted to film.
It will.
It
will.
We can get into this later, but I think Court of Owls will not work cinematically for a variety of reasons. But we can get into that later.
We can talk about that. I'm actually interested as to why. But
yes,
so it's very much DC oriented.
Oh yeah, I've always been more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. It basically started because I got into Batman. Batman is like my favorite superhero character as far as like mainstream characters go. Favorite superhero. I remember very vividly when I was like 4 or 5, I went over to a friend's house and he had like I think 6 episodes of BTAS on disc, and it was like Heart of Ice, the two-parter that introduces Two-Face, the Red Claw episode with Catwoman, and then one other I don't remember, and that was what got started me on Batman. And I also watched the '66 movie.
With the Adam West film?
Yeah, I have that on DVD somewhere. It's in storage.
Yeah.
I watched that, and that was what got me hooked on Batman. And then at the same time, Lego, because I was huge into Lego as a kid.
Of course.
Yeah.
The Batman sets were always the really cool ones.
Yeah.
Like the Batcave, the Batmobile, and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. They released their first run of Batman sets around the same time, like 2006, 2007. So I was like, oh, this is really great. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Bring me more. So yeah, and then I started to read comics more heavily when I was in like my early like preteens. And I remember it was mostly Hellboy actually.
Oh, mostly Hellboy that you read?
Yeah, because my mom is also really into comic books, and she has like
Does she have the long boxes?
Yeah, she had like a lot of, it was like, I remember the time she had several trade paperbacks of like Why the Last Man, and she had a bunch of Hellboy and like BPRD titles, and she let me, it wasn't appropriate for me to read Hellboy, but I could read BPRD, and so I would read those. I really loved those, and then she showed me the Hellboy movie, the Guillermo del Toro one, pretty soon after. So.
I got to get you to talk to a friend, Justin, because Justin's been collecting a lot of Hellboy recently.
Yeah.
Like he's been, I don't know if there are compodiums of Hellboy, but the collections, as it were.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Hellboy, the Mike Mignola art and everything, the posters, the puzzles that he frames,
yes,
puts together.
Which I have assigned, I think, because I had in summer of, it was like as I was going to middle school, I did like a like fan comic of Hellboy that was done in Mignola's style, and I got to meet him at Comic-Con that year, and I got some of my mom got some of her books signed by him, and I showed him like photos of the stuff that I had done, which was cool.
How was that? He was cool?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really talk to him. I was embarrassed. I was I was 10 or 11, so I was like, God, I don't want to talk to this guy.
I have a story just like that with the man himself, Stan Lee.
I was going to say with Stan Lee. Was this at Kamikaze?
No, this was days before the first Iron Man came out.
Oh, wow.
This was at the LA Comic-Con at the Los Angeles Convention Center.
Yeah, Kamikaze.
It was before Kamikaze.
Really?
This was before, yeah. So this was...
This was like actual Comic-Con?
This was the standard Los Angeles Comic Convention.
Okay.
Where, you had all sorts of people, all sorts of vendors and everything. My mom and I got there early, so we were fourth in line to meet Stan
Oh,
Lee.
wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And there was a lot of Iron Man, like, posters people had, the helmets people had. And I was there with my Daredevil. Funny enough, my Daredevil book, and I think it was a Frank Miller era one.
Yeah.
It was one. I have it hung up somewhere, or somewhere. He signed it with a gray Sharpie, silver Sharpie.
Yeah.
And it was the issue. It was an issue after he faced off the Hulk.
Okay.
And he got messed up. As he should.
Yeah.
The Hulk just basically destroyed him. He's in the hospital. Is the era when he's with Black Widow, like as a couple, and all the Avengers are there. Paying their respect. Like, oh man, you got messed up by the Hulk. I'm sorry, dude.
Bruce Banner shuffles in. It's incredibly awkward. Be like, sorry. Big man is a different guy. I don't necessarily control him.
It's a great issue actually because Ben Reilly from the Daily Bugle shows up, and he reveals to Matt that he figured out who he is. He figured out that he's Daredevil. And he comes in and interviews him about his life. And Daredevil's just like, at this point, he's like, fuck it. I'm going to tell him my story.
Yeah.
So we get the origin of Daredevil in this issue. We get to see him as a kid with his father and everything. A lot of what they did in Netflix in this issue. And it's great. I think it's called Andy Yell's Father. That's what the issue is called, I think. And by the end of it, it's really cool because Ben Reilly, he's going to publish this story, but by the end, he realizes how tragic Matt's life was, and then he burns all his notes, his journal notebook.
That's nice.
Puts it in the fire. It starts a fire in a hospital. It's disgusting, but Stan Lee signed it.
Just don't do it near the oxygen tanks.
That would have been a great ending, actually. Like, by accident, like, Matt hears it, like, no, you wouldn't. That would have been great.
Accidentally recreates that scene from The Dark Knight.
Oh my god.
Ben's like, what's The Dark Knight? You'll know in like 20 years.
You'll know in a bit. But I got that signed by Stan Lee. I bought a book from Stan Lee where it was he took photos from politicians. Like it was these stock photos of politicians, whether it be and it was during near the end of the Bush administration.
I was gonna say, so
it was Bush oriented. You saw Condi, you saw Rummy, you saw everyone like Cheney and everyone, and he added like little quips, like little joking quips to it. Like Stan Lee presents political humor of that era.
See, I was thinking it was like speech bubbles were coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It's photos of them and speech bubbles of like making fun of like it's pronounced nuclear, not nuclear.
I love that.
And
motherfucker bought yellow cake. I didn't want to say this.
It was literally that. And I met him, but I was literally like you, where I was petrified.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't believe it. My mom did all the talking.
It's terrifying. When you're like that young, you're like, oh god, like these are the people that like made some of the stuff that I like love the most. And you can't talk to them.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. Never meet your idols, kids.
No.
It's always disappointing.
Because you'll either make a fool out of yourself,
or you'll realize that they're terrible people. Like
or
Ezra Miller.
You'll stay silent. Oh man.
We'll get into that later.
We'll talk about that.
I say it's why I both would love and would hate to meet the Red Letter crowd.
See, I don't want to meet them. I'm sure they're lovely people, but I just feel like it would go badly if I met them.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. I'm sure I'm putting on the record that I'm sure they're really nice and everything, and I've heard they're very nice and everything. But I'm too intimidated.
Jay in particular seems like he's really like him and Rich
put off.
Seems like really chill.
Oh, really? I figured they'd be, like the most standoffish.
No, I think.
You think Mike would?
I think Mike would. I think Mike would like try and troll you.
Maybe. I mean, these are human beings, so they'd probably recognize a person's worry and nervousness and everything. Yeah. So, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll have the Red Letter Media podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Where we will actually speak throughout the whole thing, like. Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. But yeah, so you're obviously a DC guy.
Yes.
DC's what started for you.
Yeah.
Batman's your favorite.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like DC and Vertigo.
And Vertigo.
Yeah, because Vertigo is where like it's like
that's Sandman.
Sandman,
Hellblazer.
I was gonna say Hellblazer, Swamp Thing, Watchmen, V for Vendetta. think those are all the really big ones that I like from them.
Did you ever read any of because they tried doing something more recent like that with the Black Label, DC's Black
I
Label?
haven't read anything from that.
Okay. There's some cool stuff.
It seemed interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm a huge horror guy, and it's like anything that is a potential outlet for horror, I'm there. So, but yeah, I haven't read anything. Like I can't tell you how terrified I've been to just pick up a comic book that's been published in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So story time. I went to, this was maybe a year and a half ago. I went to the public library to meet up with a couple of friends afterwards. I think it was either we were there to study together or we were going to meet up nearby afterwards, and I got there early and I just needed to kill time. And I was like, oh, I should check out, because they have a really extensive comic book section of this particular library. I should check out and see what some of the more recent stuff. And I picked up, I think it's Tom King who wrote it.
Mr. Miracle?
No, his run on, I think it's Tom King, the Batman stuff. It's
Tom King's the Batman.
Yeah, the one where it's the volume. I think it's 2 volumes. The first one where Batman and Catwoman are engaged.
Oh yeah.
And I read the first couple issues or flipped through it, and I was like, oh my god, this is awful. This is terrible. What were you this? No, I'm deathly scared, and just seeing, and because I've followed comic books from afar for the sort of the past, again, 5 or 6, 7 years, and just keep seeing just horror stories about the quality of the writing, and it's just I'm deathly afraid I can't pick stuff up.
That is true. I've kind of fallen off the modern comic book scene and everything, but what I'll say is that there are gems within runs that aren't very good.
Sure.
Even ideas that are kind of okay, you've run out of ideas by saying Batman and Catwoman are going to get married. You've run out of ideas.
The whole point of that relationship is that they never get together.
And it could never work, right?
Which ends up being the thing, but why dedicate a whole arc to that?
But there are gems in there. There's recent... I think it's a side issue where it was a double date issue where Batman and Catwoman.
Oh, it was with Superman and Lois. Yeah, I think I saw something about that. I saw a couple pages. Oh, this is cute.
They go to a superhero themed carnival.
Yeah,
and they have to dress up as each other in their costumes. So, Bruce Wayne is in the Superman.
Yeah, Bruce is
costume.
Superman, and what is it? Catwoman is
just wearing Lois Lane's clothes.
Yeah, which is weird.
It's because is Lois Lane.
She's a public figure, so people would know about their relationship.
I'm cosplaying as Pete Davidson, that's what that is. Or Kim Kardashian,
Yeah, or if this was a real thing, it would be I'm cosplaying as Rupert Murdoch almost, or who's the guy who runs The Intercept? I'm cosplaying as Glenn Greenwald. It's weird.
Richard Branson.
Yeah,
from Virgin.
I'm Michael Barbaro.
That could actually be kind of fun. But Clark Kent dresses up as Batman, and to keep the cover, he puts the glasses on top of the cowl and everything. Yeah. It's great. I love that. I love it when they get clever with issues like that.
Let me say that feels very Silver Age, which I can appreciate.
Yes.
Silver Age is goofy, campy.
Yes.
It's what almost killed Batman, but there are moments where that's appropriate, and I like it.
Where because you need to break up the monotony of the darkness and the heavy stakes with something that is even with. Especially with a character like Batman.
Yeah.
You need to break up that with some fun, some humor. Remember that he is, not only is a human being, he's a father,
Oh, yeah. He's a father to 4 or 5 kids, depending on what continuity we're talking about. Yeah. Well, I was going to say also, we talked about this before. We can get into this now about how Frank Miller and the British Invasion are maybe both the best thing and the worst thing to happen to superhero comics.
Yeah. What's your thesis on this?
My opinion is that people like Miller and Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman were the perfect people to come in at the time to save superhero comics from the malaises of the Silver Age. But since 85 and the end of the Bronze Age in the early 90s, we're just perpetually stuck recycling the the themes and the style of
And the tone.
Yeah, and of the Bronze Age, where everything is incredibly nihilistic. Everything is, well, not everything is incredibly nihilistic, but everything has a kind of cynical, nihilistic, dark, edgy edge to it, and it's just not interesting, and in a lot of cases is not appropriate for certain characters.
Yeah, you would hope that, because what's ironic about that is that is the period when comics started to mature.
Yeah, it's when they started to be taken seriously as an adult art form. Yeah,
and you would hope that the current comic zeitgeist, I guess, would mature from that. Yeah, you know, because when everything becomes, it starts becoming very edgy and everything. Yeah, which is why I appreciate runs like Miracle Man by Tom King, or that issue I brought up with the double date and everything. You know, I like to see things more balanced in terms of tone and even narrative. Sure, you know, if I like the Batman that makes a joke every once in a while. Sure, you know, the you know, even though he is inherently a very dark character. Yeah. Bale is my favorite live action Batman because he has that witticism to him. Yeah,
you know? he has a sense of humor to him, despite speaking like he has throat cancer.
That's how you put him off, man. Yeah, I mean, if you were Batman, you would, and you spoke like how we speak as Bruce Wayne, you would want to put people off by thinking you smoke like 30 packs a day. There's no way this guy's Batman.
Well, see, when you say 30 packs a day, I don't think Christian Bale. I think of John DiMaggio. Which I have to say, John DiMaggio as the Joker, highly underrated.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably my favorite Joker.
Very good.
Like, even more so than
Mark Hamill?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just because Mark Hamill gets a little old after a while.
Mark Hamill, I think, gets very played out. Yes. You know, I think his best performance as the Joker was in...
Please don't say Killing Joke.
No, oh god, no. That's when it started becoming played out for me, is when it was Batman Beyond Return of the Joker.
I still haven't seen... Oh, well, this also gets into my defense of The Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Oh, okay.
We'll say your thing, you know, and then I can defend Frank Miller.
Well,
I'm the official Frank Miller defense squad.
I don't think Mark Hamill's Joker fits for every interpretation.
No,
his is very much like kind of the Silver Age depiction of the Joker. In certain aspects.
Silver Age or like early Bronze Age. Yeah, because he's in certain episodes he's very silly. Yeah, like they're like when he's
in the animated series.
Yeah, like when he's peddling his fish or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There are episodes where he has a slightly darker edge to him. I feel like when he's interacting with Harley, because then you can see like, oh yeah, like this
motherfucker's an abuser.
He's very like not good man.
No, not at all. But his voice, I don't think would have fit. For example, the Dark Knight Returns Joker.
Oh no.
It would have, in theory, fit the Killing Joke, but that was just a mess already.
Bruce Timm not being able to control his desire to ship Barbara Gordon and Batman.
Oh God, we can have a whole other episode.
It's your age divided by 2 plus 7, Bruce.
Oh God, you know what? Let's just move on. Let's move on to
let's move on to me defending Frank Miller and how I think that The Dark Knight Strikes Again fails only in execution.
I'm literally getting lightheaded right now.
I know, no. So I'll be very quick about this so you don't faint.
Oh God.
No, I think The Dark Knight Strikes Again, universally regarded as a terrible book.
Yes.
His horrible art. Frank Miller should never illustrate his own.
Not anymore.
No, well,
he has some iconic pieces.
Sure, I think if he is working with his wife, he is okay to illustrate his own books. But no one else, never, at no other time should he be allowed to illustrate.
Yeah.
Because it just looks ugly as sin otherwise.
That's just a glimpse into his mind, and especially his emotional state. Because during that time, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Well, Strikes Again.
Yeah, and there's a whole, I think it's the 3rd issue of DKSA that's very, it's basically about 9/11.
It's a horror book at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think DKSA fails only in execution because you have a great setup at the end of DKR where you have Batman basically going underground to continue his mission as a vigilante,
and everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, everyone knows who he is.
Superman lets him
lets him live.
lets him
Superman is still a tool of the government. You have and
fucking asshole. God damn it.
yeah,
Turned him into a Homelander.
hey, be charitable. He's not like he's not a psychopath with a
That's
lactation
true.
fetish.
That's true.
But no, and then
Lactation fetish.
but so the reason why I say this is there are genuinely interesting ideas that Miller is playing with. Some of which I think were actually picked up later and done more effectively with other writers.
Mm-hmm.
The ones in particular I'm thinking of are the way Dick Grayson is portrayed in DKSA, and then also the decision to have basically Batman form some kind of resistance against like a kind of totalitarian regime. Or just have continue to pit Batman and Superman against each other and have some kind of ideological crash.
Right.
Dick Grayson in particular, I think, is, which for those who don't know, like Dick in DKSA, Dark Knight Strikes Again, is like the second, becomes a new version of the Joker with a almost like Wolverine style healing factor where he's basically able to reanimate himself.
Oh, okay.
And like basically becomes like a serial killer killing superheroes, working his way up to killing Batman as revenge for how he abused him during his time as Robin. I am absolutely certain that Frank Miller's decision to use that influenced the decision to resurrect Jason Todd. And I am also certain that it influenced the decision to make Return of the Joker. Yes, because in both those stories you have former Robins taking on identities that the Joker had formerly inhabited. In the case of Return of the Joker, it's Tim Drake basically being possessed by the Joker's basically being possessed by the Joker's spirit, and then with Jason Todd, it's him taking on the old identity of the Red Hood.
I never thought of it like that, but there are, when you just look at the culture of Batman during that time, there are a lot of markers that signify we're thinking of bringing back Jason Todd or a Robin or something. It's because it's a great story and everything. I remember in Hush, at the end of Hush, they teased the idea. It was actually like Jason Todd comes back as Hush, is revealed to be
Clayface, which is a very
fucking stupid.
It's very. There's a way that you could have executed that where it's like, okay, that works, but it
didn't.
No, Hush is messy. It's a messy storyline.
Yeah, Jeff Loeb's best Batman work is
Long Halloween and Dark Victory, which I just read recently for the first time. Yeah, for the first time. I really liked it.
Well, hey, this is a good transition to some books that we can recommend.
Yes.
So you brought up Dark Victory.
Yes, Dark Victory. Definitely recommend that. And I'm hoping that we maybe get that some of that in the Batman sequel.
The Robert Pattinson one?
Yeah, because Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson have talked about wanting to bring in Robin, and I would love to see what they do with him. And
I want to see Robin.
I would be very surprised also if Two-Face doesn't show up, or at least that Harvey Dent doesn't show up in the next one.
Would you want to see him become Two-Face?
I want him to see him become Two-Face, but to not have him be active as a villain until the third film. Yeah,
because I would want to see Harvey Dent as well, but they gotta differentiate it a lot from
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, from what Nolan did in general, because I was really surprised that they even introduced the Joker.
I'm also excited, and that's the other thing too. Is I think, I don't know. Go ahead, say what you were gonna say.
Well, I just want them. I want to rest from the Joker. I said in the Joker review with the Joaquin Phoenix film, I wanted Joaquin to be his Joker. Robert Pattinson.
He would be geriatric by the time Pattinson grows up.
That's cool though.
No.
I want to see those actors interact because we never really know the age of the Joker in general when it comes to their dynamics. Sometimes he's the same age, sometimes he's older, sometimes he's younger. So I would have been down with that. I saw this really cool edit someone made of the Batman, Robert Pattinson. And you see he's looking at the TV with Catwoman.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And they show
it's Murray's broadcast.
Yeah. I was like, damn, that could have been something else. And also, Barry Koenig, is that the actor's name?
It's Irish, so it's okay to butcher it. It's a horrible language.
Druig, I'm going to call him Druig from the Eternals. He plays the Joker. And I'm not 100% sold on him.
I'm not 100% sold on him either. I still need to see Killing of a Sacred Deer. He's supposed to be really good in that. I will say I really like the design that they did for him.
It's interesting
Because it's clear that it gives me hope for two reasons. One, it's very horror.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I think Batman is fundamentally a horror franchise, and I think it works best when it's treated that way, which is why Snyder and Capullo's run, I think, works so well, because they have backgrounds in horror. But also it gives me hope that Reeves is open to adapting some of the more fantastical elements of Batman's lore.
And I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see someone like Man-Bat or his version of Mr. Freeze.
I was going to say they've talked about doing Mr. Freeze, and I'm sure there's a way that you can you can work that to make it a little bit more realistic.
The reason I'm saying they have to is because if you keep it ultra realistic, it becomes derivative.
It becomes
of
the
Nolan
Dark
trilogy.
Knight. Yeah, and that was my fear with what Matt Reeves is going to be doing. But it's like, given the tone and given the design of the film, it's like, okay, no, we're going. Yeah, this feels a little more like the Arkham games in terms of aesthetics.
This feels like this world, especially as we leave it off at the end of the Batman. It feels like it would naturally progress into an Arkham series kind of world. You know?
Yeah, maybe not as over the top as Arkham, because Arkham does.
Yeah, it trying to incorporates like Tim Burton elements.
Well, it's like it's this weird mix of like the aesthetics of the Nolan trilogy, the Tim Burton trilogy, and the animated series and the comics, and some of it works, some of it doesn't.
There's some games that really piss me off in that series. Most notably Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I was really upset when it's like,
Speaking of Jason Todd.
it's just fucking Jason Todd.
Yeah,
great. I would have
great.
I was so hyped because I thought, it's going to be Aaron Cash. That would be a really great arc for his character, but no, it's just fucking Jason Todd. It's just Jason Todd.
We knew it.
Oh boy.
And the way that they handle that story. I mean, again, this is not a Batman centric podcast.
We're trying not to
really
do this.
Trying, but so you read Dark Victory.
Dark Victory is good.
What else have you read?
Doom That Came to Gotham I would recommend. Just because if you're into Lovecraft, it draws very heavily on that. And if you love Mike Mignola, he wrote and illustrated that, so that's a good one to check out. I'm trying to think what else I would recommend that I've read recently. I mean, honestly, like, definitely recommend the Frank Miller stuff, the Daredevil stuff. Also, honestly, I would recommend going through and reading the Wonder Woman stuff too, because I'm one of
the original.
The earliest stuff, because we've talked about, I'm working on like a comic book project that requires me to make basically like XP versions of the characters from the Justice League, and so part of what I've been doing as research for that is going back and reading the characters' earliest appearances. So reading like comics with Alan Scott as Green Lantern, reading the earliest Wonder Woman.
Alan Scott, ironically, I don't mean to cut you off, but created by Bill Finger.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Bill Finger, the actual creator of
Fuck you,
Batman.
Bob Kane.
You son of a bitch. No, I'm sorry, but Bill Finger apparently also created Alan Scott.
I did not realize that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would recommend just going back and reading just Golden Age and Silver Age comics in general. Yeah. Especially now, because it's one of those things where like just writing quality is down for mainstream comics, and then also just like it's just stuck in the stone and tile of the Bronze Age. So
did you ever read the original Teen Titans runs?
No.
Oh my god, they're so funny because I like them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the team. I forgot. It's like 3 people actually in the original team, where it was Robin, I believe Speedy.
Yeah.
And Speedy being Arsenal being the
the green deceptive nickname.
What's his name? I guess Red Arrow for
Red Arrow.
Let's
Arsenal.
just call him Red Arrow. Arsenal. You know, he's got all sorts of names, but Speedy.
Yeah.
And Aqualad. And they're fighting a town of mind-controlled adults.
Interesting.
It's been years since I've read it, but I remember the adults who are mind-controlled. They also mind-control teens, and they try to fool the Teen Titans, but their terminology is off, which is what gives it away. Robin, being the little detective he is like, see, if they were actual teenagers, they would have said jive, not, affirmative.
No. Is this Dick or Tim?
It's Dick.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
this is This is way back in the day.
Okay.
This is some of the compodiums and the showcases you've been reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you
No,
off.
it's cool.
One other comic that I've been reading. This is not Western comic, it's manga. Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Okay.
It's very, very good. So I like anime as well, and I've been getting into. I used to like mostly like more like action or horror oriented stuff, but I've recently been really loving like slice of life and like romantic comedy stuff. I went into Kaguya-sama thinking it would be really stupid, boring, and generic. It's actually really funny.
Is it the one? Is Kaguya-sama the book? Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it the one with the rabbit?
Rabbit? No,
The
there's
samurai rabbit.
There's no rabbit. It's
Okay.
it's a deconstruction and a parody of a lot of tropes in anime and manga romance stuff. The whole premise is that you have these two very proud students. One is the vice president, the other is the president of the student council. And their whole thing is that they're in love with each other, but they refuse to confess to each other, and so they construct these elaborate mind games to try and get the other person to confess. And the comedy comes from that. And like that's a whole like big trope in anime and manga, is that the romance is drawn the fuck out.
Yeah,
and the characters, it's more about the lead up to the relationship than what actually goes on in the relationship.
They're racing each other to
Yeah.
the point of confession.
And it's really funny. It's really, really funny. And it has a lot of really great side characters. So I would recommend Kaguya-sama Love is War, both the anime and the manga.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I've went to comic store recently. I think it was this past week, and I picked up some books. And these are books that I want to recommend not only to you, especially since you're not a Marvel guy per se.
Yeah.
But I would recommend to everyone who loves reading comics. The first one, and I have it right here. It's called Spider-Man Life Story, not Love Story. Spider-Man Life Story. It's by Chip Zdarsky. The artwork is by Mark Bagley. And the concept of this, and I don't know how familiar you are with this book, but the idea is it's a limited series, and it is each issue is set in a different decade.
Okay.
Starting in the 60s when Spider-Man was
When
created.
he was first introduced.
Exactly.
Thank you, Steve Ditko.
Exactly. Thank you, Steve Ditko. And this is very Ditko inspired.
Okay.
It's actually, if you want to know about the history of Spider-Man as a character, as a culture, this is the book to read, because each issue is set during a different decade.
Okay.
So the first is during the 60s, second's during the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on. And he actually ages as time progresses. It's the old criticism of comics. Why don't these characters age?
Nothing happens. Well,
Yeah.
Spider-Man is unique in that where he actually does age. Like he grows up, he goes to college, he graduates, he marries Mary Jane.
But I think he's still like in his early 30s at this point in comics.
They've reset it a couple times. They reset it once in
Yeah.
like the 90s, right?
I guess so. I mean, ever since One More Day, I've completely lost track of how old Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
But this book cleans it up,
Okay.
where he actually does age. You see him throughout his whole life, and it is fantastic. You get to see almost every aspect of his comic history. So you get versions of Secret Wars, versions of the Clone Saga, versions of Kraven's Last Hunt, the early stuff with the Green Goblin and everything.
right.
Really, really good. I would recommend it. And the artwork is stellar. I mean, Mark Bagley is my Spider-Man artist, because I read Ultimate Spider-Man growing up. This is... You got to read it, actually. You got to check it out. I'll even lend it to you if you want.
That would be incredibly generous. If I cannot find it at a library, I will definitely take you up on that, because that actually does intrigue me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think I read one. I have a copy of Ultimate Spider-Man when Miles is first introduced.
Oh, okay. So Ultimate Spider-Man was the book that introduced Miles Morales.
Yeah.
They do introduce him in this.
Okay.
It's a very unique way of bringing in Miles.
I was gonna say I have to imagine Peter is a geriatric by the time he's introduced.
He's I don't want to say too much about it, but it's very much like you see different phases of Peter Parker and they even kind of reference the different types of writing for Spider-Man throughout.
See, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's part of why I like whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, whatever happened to the Cape Crusader.
Oh, in the Alan Moore's Superman story, and
they're both like funeral stories for Batman and Superman. I like that stuff.
Yeah. This is very much an Elseworlds book.
Okay.
Because it is a single continuity.
Yeah.
they have a Fantastic Four life story book.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's the same continuity because Reed Richards is in this book in Life Stories for Spider-Man, but he's very specific,
Right.
And I don't think they intersect. I think it might be separate.
Okay. I can't remember, was Spider-Man was introduced in a Fantastic Four comic, right?
Well, they had Amazing Fantasy first with Spider-Man,
Right.
and then the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man was him interacting with the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
It's that iconic cover of him
Yeah.
with the tube and everything.
Yeah.
It's really good. Fantastic Four actually has a very strong presence in this book.
Interesting.
Really good. They got to do more of these because a Wolverine one would be really
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
I would love to see one for like a Ghost Rider, you know.
I see Ghost Rider, Daredevil would be good.
Yeah. And you know what's cool? They actually bring in real world elements like Vietnam. Vietnam is actually a very big conflict in the first issue. Because,
Interesting.
In the first issue, like all sorts of heroes are going to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's dealing with, do I have a responsibility to go over there
Right.
and fight and save lives?
Yeah.
As many as I can. And,
Or do I stay in New York and do what I can?
Exactly. And that stays with him.
Yeah.
As he's Peter Parker, he deals with guilt. That stays with him throughout the whole book.
Yep.
So I completely recommend that.
All right.
And the other book I got...
You're weird like why am I forgetting his name? The
Tarantino?
Marvel Duck.
Oh, Howard the Duck?
Your weird Howard the Duck fetish book.
So this is from Aftershock Comics. It's a one-shot book. It's a very beautiful print. It's Tales of Mother F. Goose by Frank Thierry, Joe Eisma, Matt Herms, Carlos M. Mangual. It's Tales of Mother Goose. And so the idea of this book, and I think you'd really get a kick out of it, they take the fairy tales of like the Brothers Grimm, Red Riding Hood, Jack and Jill, all those, the Three Little Pigs.
I mean, you've already got me here because I love Brothers Grimm.
They take them into a Tarantino-esque direction. Make
Interesting.
A crime story.
Okay.
Apply real human characters.
Oh no, that means there's going to be horrible child molestation, isn't there?
I haven't read the whole issue.
Okay.
But it's very much like the Copland, you know, very crime.
All right.
Or organized crime and everything.
Yeah.
They even make reference to Tarantino throughout the whole
Interesting.
book. Like you see the suitcase. They mentioned the pussy wagon.
Oh no.
You know, and the cover, as you can see actually, but for the listeners, it's Mother Goose in the Mia Wallace pose, the iconic Mia Wallace cover for Pulp Fiction. Mother Goose with cigarette, a gun,
looking very seductive.
Yeah. A
with
goose
her high heels,
looking at you very seductively. It's really good so far, and the art's really great. I'd recommend it to everyone. The Three Little Pigs are these casino owners, and each one is like each one is shittier than the last.
Oh no!
Because you know, like in the Three Little Pigs, there's the House of Straw,
House of
there's
Wood,
the
House of Sticks, and then the House
and
of
the Brick
Bricks.
House, and each one is like the bad wolf is a master Catino thief.
I was gonna say, I was assuming he's like a thief or a
Yeah,
robber.
yeah, it's like Ocean's 11.
Okay.
So he steals from the first one because it's weak security.
Yeah.
Second one is a bit harder, but weak security ultimately, and the caper is in the brick house. Where it's
All right.
It's like Ocean's 11. So,
I like that. That's
yeah.
cool.
I would recommend that to everyone because it's really interesting. Support the independent comics, and this cover is beautiful. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's a really nice big cover. If you go to a comic store and you see Tales of Mother F. Goose, pick it up. God damn it.
I don't know if my snort got picked up on the mic. I hope it did.
I'll edit it in afterwards. Stock audio.
Yes. Just put a pig snorting in, honestly.
The Three Little Pigs.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
That would be appropriate.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the news happening within the comic culture, because there's some crazy shit happening, actually.
Yes.
Some stuff you wanted to talk about. Some stuff I really am interested in, because it's such a bonanza.
Yeah.
In terms of specifically DC. DC's kind of messing up. I guess it depends on who you ask. But in my opinion, they're messing up. Maybe you have a different opinion.
Yeah.
But we all know recently, because of the merger between Warner Brothers and
Warner
Discovery,
Brothers and Discovery.
some projects have been shit canned.
Yes.
Most notably,
Batgirl. I think Supergirl has also gotten canned now.
Yeah, some of the shows like Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn,
The animated one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Titans.
I'm fine with that. I really love Harley Quinn. I would actually I went in thinking like, oh god, this is gonna be terrible. This is gonna be awful. It's not the greatest, but it's solid. It's like a solid 6.5 out of 10.
I like it because it is really unique.
Yeah.
It's just very different, and it's rated R DC.
Yeah.
And comedy at that, so
Yeah.
they get really perverse and everything.
Oh, yeah.
This past season, Jesus.
I still need to see season 4. Right? Is it
season 3?
No, season 3. Yeah.
They're
I
not
think
getting
after
4.
it's 3, after 3 is a nice round number. It's fine.
Unless it's The Boys.
Have
Have you seen the last season?
I have seen everything but the last episode.
Okay.
See, I think season 1 of The Boys is really strong. I think
It's weaker.
season 2
is weaker.
season 2 that first like 3 quarters is a fucking slog. The last quarter is it's pretty good.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Season 3 is very spotty.
I'm liking season 3 more than 2.
So I would agree, but I think that's only because of Soldier Boy.
Yes.
Jensen Ackles saves that series.
He does, but also I like the really deep dive of examining Homelander.
Yeah, that's basically the only other reason why I still watch the show. It's the Homelander show.
It's the Homelander show. But especially in the last episode,
yeah,
they really tie it up in a very fascinating way.
You're a fucking disappointment.
See, there you go.
Honestly, you can just skip through all the stuff that doesn't involve Homelander. Maybe watch some of the stuff that involves A-Train because he's kind of a fun character. Deep is a fun character too.
They actually did things with them in this season.
Yeah, I was gonna say I told my mom when I was watching the show for the first time, is like, I love the fact that they took the meme about how Aquaman is a pathetic character and turned him into a character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great.
They made you actually feel sympathy for a horrible, otherwise totally irredeemable piece of shit. It's an accomplishment.
Oh man, well then I'm excited. I'm very interested in what you're going to think about Homelander's development in the last episode of season 3, because it's really interesting actually. When you're talking about sympathy, they really pull you in different directions. To the same point, you're not letting airplanes.
No, I'm not letting airplanes fall out of the sky, and I don't have a lactation fetish
or a Nazi fetish.
No, I don't have a thing for burning burning elderly MILFs' tits with my laser eyes.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but let's talk about Batgirl.
Yes.
So this is from Variety. It's why Warner Brothers killed Batgirl inside the decision not to release the DC movie. It's from Variety. So I'll read a little bit, give you all some information, and then we'll talk about this.
Yes.
The death of Batgirl on Tuesday sent immediate shockwaves through Hollywood. The film, with a $75 million budget that grew to $90 million due to COVID-related overages, had finished shooting months ago and was in test screenings, and directors, I hope I say these right, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah from Bad Boys for Life and Ms. Marvel worked through the post-production process. Star Leslie Grace from In the Heights had given multiple interviews expressing her enthusiasm for landing the title role and working with co-stars Michael Keaton as Batman, J.K. Simmons as her character's father, Commissioner Gordon, and Brendan Fraser as the villain Firefly. In other words, the movie was nearly finished and already building awareness among fans. Why would Warner Brothers Discovery throw all that away? According to the source with knowledge of the situation, the most likely reason: taxes. Several sources note that Batgirl was made under a different regime at Warner Brothers, headed by Jason Kilar and Ann Sarnoff, that was singularly focused on building its streaming service HBO Max. That effort included Kilar's infamous decision to release the studio's entire 2021 theatrical slate simultaneously on the streamer, which helped build the subscriber base but also jeopardized the studio's reputation with top-tier talent, though many agents and stars privately came to appreciate the move when the company paid generous bonuses as make nice. Even before David Zaslav took the reins of the newly formed Warner Brothers Discovery as CEO this spring, the exec went on a well-publicized listening tour designed to repair the company's relationship with the creative community. As part of that effort, Zaslav has made no secret of reversing Kilar's strategy and committing to releasing first-run feature films in theaters before putting them on HBO Max. So, Batgirl found itself on the bad end of the decision, apparently neither being big enough to feel worthy of a major theatrical release, nor small enough to make an economic sense in an increasingly cutthroat streaming landscape. So, essentially, money.
And there are also rumors that it was just a generally poor quality film. I think test screenings were lower than Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. One source, and granted I think these are unnamed sources, so take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Said that the film was allegedly irredeemable, which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Everything that I saw coming out of it just looked not good. I mean, I'll sum my thoughts up on the movie with the comment that I left on Angel's Reel.
Yeah.
I said something to the effect of, "Oh, thank Christ, this movie looked like a piece of shit. Allahu Akbar, God is great."
Oh my God. Jesus.
Thank God. Yeah, no, I mean, just like, yeah, like, I mean, my main issues with it are just, yeah, like it looks cheap. There's the infamous photo of Michael Keaton in what looks like an oversized bat suit, where like you can clearly see the rubber crinkle and fold, which is sad because I like the design that they released for that suit. It looks really nice. It's what the Batman Returns suit should have been. But yeah, and then just also on top of that, like the confusing ass continuity. Yeah, I had no faith in that movie.
Well, this was definitely something that would have been released after The Flash at some point because of the return of Michael Keaton.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is I don't know, because they were also, even before that, they were going to delay The Flash. So yeah, I don't know.
It was clear that with this project, or well, I would say multiple projects that they were making, including The Flash.
Yeah.
A lot of it was reactionary because whether it be the comparisons to Marvel or controversies on the casts or production ends, ever since the whole Snyder Cut situation, they as a studio have been in the fire, and criticized.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so, especially with how they essentially formed like almost a kind of soft coup d'etat against Zack Snyder. And took advantage of his personal troubles to, have Joss Whedon come in and, just do almost a completely different movie with Justice League. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You say continue your thoughts.
Well, all I would say is that the reason I am disappointed in this, and I know a lot of people aren't disappointed. A lot of people have all sorts of reactions, whether it be celebratory or, people are laughing about this, making fun of it.
I will say, like, I do feel bad for the team that made it, just because it's, it's all obviously a lot of work went into it, even if it did look very cheap, which, like, God, $90 million.
I'm waiting. I mean, I would wait to say it looks cheap until I actually see something from it.
Sure, I'm only
that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll probably see a work cut of it in like 10, 20 years.
Well, Kevin Smith came out recently with an excerpt from his Hollywood Babylon podcast he does with Ralph Garman. They talk a little bit about this because Kevin Smith also had projects that were kaput because of this merger.
Good. And don't give Kevin Smith any more money. You saw what he did to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
Rape my childhood, will you?
It's funny you mentioned that, but we can talk a little bit about that. But he actually has a really good coverage, discussing what happened, and it's because of this merger. There were a lot of tax loopholes that were very limited. They could only take these large amounts of money on a very specific time with the what was the word, on the only condition that they could put some of these movies.
Sure.
And I think it would have been a $20 million reward if they put Batgirl under.
Yeah.
And that was $90 million it came out to?
Yeah,
So
which, I mean, the fact that they would decide to do that, to me, is, again, as an indicator of quality of the film, that you would can a movie that cost $90 million to get a $20 million tax write-off.
So you're out $70 million.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
at the very least, I mean, we know that these budgets are rough estimates, and that
yeah, who knows if it's actually real or anything.
Yeah.
You can take that's something else you can take with a grain of salt. What
Yeah.
they announce the budgets to.
Maybe that's why it looks so cheap.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But I think it's unfortunate, mainly because of what you brought up, the work that people put into it.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, the way I look at it is if a movie with Batman, Michael Keaton as Batman, is under the risk and the probability of getting canceled, any movie is up to go.
Oh, sure.
Any movie can go, man. And that's what worries me, because there are a lot of projects that they've been working on that I want to see. And Batgirl was one of them, because I'm a fan of Batgirl. I want to see this actor in that role. I'm curious what that would be like. I want to see Blue Beetle. I hope that doesn't get canceled. I hope other films like Future Shazam or whatever.
And so you should. I think the other ones that are coming out right now is besides the Flash, there's Fury of the Gods, the Shazam, and then there's Black Adam, and then
there's the Joker sequel they're working.
I'm
on.
fine with them canceling that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, when I heard that it was a musical. I mean, first of all, like, it's unclear like how musical it's going to be, if it's just going to be like one scene, or if it's just a straight up musical.
People are taking that word musical and like,
well, again, like, well, also I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who the source was that reported it. Yeah, I don't know. When I heard it was musical, is like, I'm interested to see what could be done with it, because it's less of more of the same, which I like. I like less of more of the same. But yeah, it's one of those things where Joker it's a movie that doesn't need a sequel.
I'd like to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
When it comes to I don't think Joker's going to be canceled, but
I would be surprised if it was.
So would I. But when it comes to Batgirl, I'm curious what you think the effect this movie would have had if it were released.
Sure.
Because it was obviously being released with the idea of we're repositioning our continuity.
Sure.
Michael Keaton as the Batman in this world's main Batman.
Yeah.
What do you think the results of it would have been?
I think it probably would have been a terrible move, because I know that their plans were because up until recently, Affleck didn't want to return as Batman, and their plan, as I understand it, was to replace. And also the other thing is Henry Cavill doesn't want or didn't or doesn't.
Well,
probably
I think he
probably
does.
still doesn't. Well, now he probably does, but up until then he said he was asking for a ridiculous amount of cash to return. To return to Superman. So I think the plan was they were going to replace Batman and Superman's role on the Justice League with
Supergirl and
Batgirl, which I think would have been a terrible decision.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying, man. How do you know how much he was asking for?
I have no clue. I just know that he was asking for a lot. That may change now that there's been regime change. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like, with all these cancellations, I don't know if, I think the smart thing to do, honestly, is because the previous regime of Warner Brothers fucked up the Snyderverse so hard, which the thing is, like, that's the sad thing, is like, I think Zack Snyder's a hack. I think he's a competent filmmaker, but he at the very least set up a sustainable plan going forward, even if it was rushed.
He had a plan.
Yes.
He had a plan.
Which it's very clear that DC does not currently.
No, even though they came out also, along with this news, said,
yeah, also,
we have a 10-year plan.
Yeah, we have 10-year plan to make movies in style of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel movie universe will be amazing, make millions of monies all over the world.
As a matter of fact, it was our plan originally. Marvel stole our plan. we will invade Marvel.
We will invade Marvel, retake glorious clay for mother DC films. But yeah, no, I mean, like the whole announcement of the 10-year plan, like, that gives me some hope.
It does give you hope.
Yes, it does. And the fact that, again, that a lot of stuff is getting canceled. I mean, I've already spoken to you privately about how I think that the smartest thing for DC to do is to just can the Snyderverse, let the movies in the Snyderverse stand on their own, and just start again fresh. Yeah. Like, release whatever movie, like, release Flashpoint. You'll probably be able to make some money back if you wait long enough.
Well, I mean,
people will forget by the end of next year.
I don't know, man. I feel like by the end of next year, Ezra Miller might be
He might be dead.
in
Who knows?
jail or
He may be dead. You don't know. There could be. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a farm. He's got a farm in New England. Could be a Waco situation. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
We'll talk about that a little more. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the best thing to do is
just restart.
Just cancel everything. Cancel all the CW shows. Move all of that to HBO. Do not let CW anywhere near DC because all their shows jumped the shark after the first season.
So this is something I know you wanted to talk about, was the idea you had for rebooting DC entirely.
Yes. Yeah.
So we can. I want to hear what you had to say about.
Yeah,
this.
I mean, my pitch is basically cancel everything.
That's pretty much
basically,
it,
which is what Zaslav seems to be doing, which I'm happy about. Cancel everything. Release the last movie that you're going to release, which is probably going to be Flashpoint. Wait a period of 5 years so that DC people can rinse the nasty taste of DC movies out of their mouth, and you give Marvel time to dig their grave, because I personally don't have much faith in what Marvel seems doing. Phase 4 seems to have been very meh. And I wouldn't be surprised if that trend continues into Phase 5. So let Marvel dig their own grave, come back triumphantly in 5 years, starting with a Superman movie. All new actors, all new cast. Also, probably don't do an origin movie.
For Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't need to.
You don't need to. I think the Batman has showed us that you don't. People are familiar enough with certain of these characters that you don't need to do an origin story. You can you can have it be earlier in the career, but you don't need to tell the origin specifically.
Well,
you can have people talk about it, but just don't show it.
That was something that was. If there was anything interesting for me about Man of Steel, it was how they incorporated the origin.
The Krypton is the first 15 minutes on Krypton is my favorite part of the movie.
I think
I would love a movie. I would love a movie set on Krypton in like the final year.
So when you say origin, you mean specifically Krypton. You don't mean the stuff in Kansas.
Honestly, you don't even need to show the stuff in Kansas. You can just have the movie start with Superman comes to Metropolis for the first time and he starts his new job with the Daily Planet. That's all you need.
It's very Earth 1. Superman
yes,
Earth 1.
Yes, which Earth 1 is a terrible comic. And it's very similar to Man of Steel in a lot of ways. But yeah,
hey man, you know what? I haven't read that book in years, but I do remember reading it, and there is a part in that book that did get me watery.
Okay.
I'll be honest. It's the part where he's talking about this cat that passed away in his arms and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's too much for me.
Yeah.
That's too much for me. Have that in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be afraid to show the more the wholesome human side of Superman. Don't have him be a Jesus figure, Zack Snyder. I am Jesus. Just start over. Also, don't do a Batman movie to start off. For Phase 1, don't do a Batman. You can allude to Batman in because my idea was you would have a Superman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, an Aquaman movie, a Green Lantern movie, maybe another Superman movie for the first phase, and then after that last Superman movie, you go into Justice League and you introduce. My initial idea was to do. They have the original lineup for Justice League with Martian Manhunter as the 7th member, but I was like, Jean is basically Superman in terms of his power set. He's like, but more than that because he has Vision's power set. So to make it a little more rounded, just put Cyborg in there. He's a normal human. His power set rounds out the league nicely. So you have the new 52 characters and introduce Cyborg for the first time and introduce Batman for the first time and have it be a nice reveal. And then you can start off Phase 2 with a Batman movie.
That would be interesting.
And that actually gives you a perfect opportunity to adapt Court of Owls. And this gets into my thing about Court of Owls not working cinematically because there's a lot of deep lore surrounding the founding of Gotham in Snyder and Capullo's run that you need to start off. You basically need to get us right in that world in the beginning. You can't build it up. You just need to get in there and start off with the horror elements right away. Yeah. And that's how you could do it.
You know, I like the idea of waiting on Batman.
Yeah.
I like the idea of restraint.
Yeah. Also, we just had too much Batman.
We have had a lot of Batman.
He's the only character that DC knows what to do with, and you just wait on him.
Honestly, I would just want them to reboot with the Batman.
I wouldn't mind that. I also the thing that I'd be interested to know if the Batman sequel is on the chopping block as well. That's possible.
I don't know.
So
At this point,
I don't know what
they canceled one movie with Batman.
Yeah,
in it.
I don't know what your thoughts are. I wouldn't mind. So yeah, I'm of two minds. I wouldn't mind them canceling the Matt Reeves trilogy and just having that movie stand on its own, because it does stand well on its own. I also would be fine with them leading in with Pattinson as the new Batman. I don't mind if they do that retroactively. But it's easy. But it is easier to start with just a clean slate.
It is, but I feel like the Batman could be that start.
Yes,
you know,
it could.
It's very similar to how Iron Man
Yeah,
was that
exactly.
for the
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic
Yeah,
Universe,
because
you
I
know?
don't think they had a plan. I think they released Marvel. I think they released Iron Man and then released Incredible Hulk,
Yeah.
and like, oh, we can kind
Does
of
it
tie.
work? Yeah.
We can tie these two in together a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be fine with that. But I think ultimately you need to let that decision rest with Matt Reeves.
I agree.
If he's interested in doing that, be like, hey, Mr. Reeves, we really like what you're doing with the Batman. Can we use this as a springboard to start a new universe? If he says yes, great.
Yeah.
If he says no, respect his wishes. Be like, okay, would have the execs do the decision. Do you cancel the stuff that he's working on? Let that sort it out. It's probably a good idea just to cancel maybe the TV shows and just let him do those last two movies. But yeah, see what happens.
I would just say I wouldn't want them to cancel the Batman films. I don't think it's likely that they will cancel them. But,
I don't think so either.
because those are the films. DC in the last couple years, actually, I think they've had one of their strengths recently, and I mean very recently, is that they've had a lot of different films that have displayed different types of visions. You know, whether it be Joker, with a very gritty, realistic 70s take, or Suicide Squad, with a very, almost like exploitive, like crazy as body horror film. And then the Batman, which is a noir film.
Yes.
And Shazam, being a kids comedy.
Yeah, Shazam is like an 80s kids movie.
Yeah.
It's part of why I watched the first Shazam for the first time like a couple weeks ago, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great film. I love that film so much. I like that they have those different palettes.
Yes.
And the Batman, I think, is a very unique film. It's not my favorite of the Batman movies that have come out. But I think it's a very strong start for a new Batman. And also, I think it's a strong start for a new universe that you could build from there. I mean, Batman, one of his last lines, well, not his last line, but his last monologue in that is that he needs to become a symbol of hope. Yeah. That automatically opens up the doors to what this universe could be. Sure. The first thing I thought of at that moment was Superman. Yeah. And I think seeing him meet up with a Superman would be fascinating. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are saying it's too realistic to,
the fact that Barry Keoghan's Joker very clearly has had an acid bath is an
and he survived.
Yeah, he's very. I mean, hey, you can survive from that kind of thing.
Yeah, but he looks. I mean, he survived and he looked like a clown when he got out.
Sure, it's fine. It's comic.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, granted, like people make this excuse. Oh, it's a comic book movie. Don't take it too seriously. You take it seriously, but you need to have very clearly defined rules. Yeah,
and I feel like that could work.
Having it be a comic book movie is not an excuse to not have rules.
I agree, which is why I would be curious about a new world in this world.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think it's a promising potential springboard. Yeah. But yeah, that said, it remains to be seen.
And those movies, I feel, are going to get more fantastical as they, go on.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Reeves we've already talked about it. Matt Reeves has expressed interest in bringing in Mr. Freeze, and Robert Pattinson has said he's interested in bringing in Robin. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, the moment they bring in Robin, it becomes a ridiculous
which
world,
like well, that's the thing. This is the other thing too, and this maybe we can get into my defense of All-Star Batman and Robin.
Oh no. No, you gotta save that for. We're not talking about
We'll do a podcast on me defending Frank Miller.
That's a legit debate podcast. Yes. Oh my god.
But no, this is the other thing too. It's like you can't have Dick Grayson be 8 years old. You can't have him be 8 years old. The youngest you can do, absolute youngest, is like 15. Yes. You just can't. You can't do 8-year-old Dick anymore.
Well, I mean, they did it in Kick-Ass.
Okay, but that's a very clearly an abusive, exploitative relationship. And then again, this gets into my defense of All-Star Batman and Robin.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
It is plausible that in the real world that could be what Batman and Robin's relationship is like. It is plausible. It's not what Batman and Robin should be, but it's a possibility. Like, realistically, if you had a little boy running around with an older man in fish scale trunks, you'd be like, that older guy's kind of a pervert.
Actually, let's save it.
Okay.
Where's the Speedo? Shut the hell up.
What are you, dense? Are you retarded?
Yeah.
Who the hell do you think I am?
No.
I'm the goddamn Batman.
And yet you're gonna defend.
I will defend that book.
Jesus. Okay.
No. It's not. I will preface this by saying it's not a good book.
Look, this will be the last point on this.
Yes.
There comes a point in recent Batman books where he has so many children. It becomes as ridiculous as in the Joel Schumacher films, where he adopts a grown-ass man as Robin.
I hate the Bat family.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's all we're going to say on that.
Yes.
God damn it. Let's move on away from Batman and move on to another film.
I'd like to talk about the economy.
Well, it's the economy of bad ideas, which is the Flash with Ezra Miller. So recently, this was very recent. I think this was yesterday or the day before. Ezra Miller.
He had like another charge against him, right?
He is charged with felony by the state of Vermont.
Yeah.
The burglary by the state of Vermont.
Which I think is where his like Waco compound is.
Yeah, that he has a ranch there.
Yeah.
I think he's from Vermont. That's his home.
That makes sense.
He has a ranch there, and he's there, bunch of guns, some kids and women. I'm going to read this from the Variety again. It's the article, The Flash star Ezra Miller charged with felony burglary in Vermont. Ezra Miller, the embattled star of Warner Brothers' The Flash movie, has been charged with felony burglary in Stamford, Vermont, according to a Vermont State Police report. According to the police report, Vermont State Police were notified of a burglary complaint from a residence in Stamford at 5:55 p.m. on May 1st. Police found that several bottles of alcohol were taken from the residence while the homeowners were not present. After collecting statements and looking at surveillance videos, police found a probable cause to charge Miller with felony burglary into an unoccupied dwelling. Police located Miller on August 7th at 11:23 p.m. and issued them a citation to appear in Vermont Superior Court on September 26th for arraignment. According to a Rolling Stone investigation in June, Miller has been housing a 25-year-old mother and 3 children of hers who are between the ages of 1 and 5 and the actor's home ranch in Stamford, Vermont. The property doubles as an unlicensed cannabis farm and has
I forgot about that.
and has several firearms on the premises, according to the report. One source who spoke to Rolling Stone alleged that the 1-year-old child was found with a loose bullet in their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
It's unclear whether the Stamford properties are one and the same. This is crazy. This is one of the many moments of hysteria that Ezra Miller has had this year.
I mean, I'll say there were signs going back years, so...
Yeah, they, I guess. They were in a video where they attacked a woman.
Yeah.
In Iceland, I think.
Yeah, and there was, like, I think there are allegations now that Miller had, like, some weird, like, why am I forgetting his name? Aleister Crowley. He had, like, some weird Aleister Crowley, like... He's like squatting in some like Airbnb or something and had like a bunch of like sex groupies.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
It is a mess. And the reason I wanted to bring this up was obviously Ezra Miller is not anymore.
A crazy person.
Is a crazy the Reverse Flash.
Yes.
But starring in The Flash, they're still going ahead with the Flash film.
I mean, you don't know.
Well, they've said recently, not they being Ezra Miller, but the people behind The Flash,
Zaslav
the producers.
And,
they said that we're still going with The Flash because it's a pivotal film, apparently, in their lineup. My question to you for this is essentially, what do you do? Because this is a very cornered situation. The people of Warner Brothers are cornered into a moment of asking themselves, what do we do? Do we just continue? Do we pretend it's not happening? Do we address it? They've addressed it in that Ezra Miller's not going to play the Flash anymore.
Yeah, which is the right decision, obviously.
Right. But what do you do?
I don't casting Miller in the first place. I don't know what they were thinking.
Right.
Because he's not really a great Barry.
Well, not Barry as we know him.
Okay, but at that point, then he's not really Barry, is he?
No, I've always questioned the casting since it happened.
Well, I think you're also more of a Wally guy, right?
Well, I like Wally, and I think the smart move at this point, if they're going to continue with a quote-unquote Snyder-themed verse, if they're bringing back Affleck and Cavill, just use Wally.
Yeah, it's not a terrible idea.
Yeah. More people are familiar with Wally.
Well, more people our age, yeah.
Yeah, the modern comic book audience. I mean, Barry is very much a golden age version of the Flash.
Well, let's be fair, he's a Silver Age Flash, because before that there was Alan Scott in his little.
Well, Jay Garrick.
Oh, sorry, no, yeah. So I'm thinking of Green Lantern. There's Jay Garrick in his little doughboy helmet with the Hermes wings.
That's right. I'm sorry, the Silver Age, but he's an older version of the Flash, because the Flash for so long was missing after Crisis, and like decades it was Wally. You know, so the cartoons of our generation. Yeah,
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
They adapted Wally as the Flash because he was the modern Flash for our audience.
And they adapted Jon Stewart instead. Yeah. To the point where people are like, what the fuck? Why is there some white guy in the Green Lantern movie? Who's this?
This is racist.
I don't know who this is. And then you tell them about Guy Gardner, and they're like, who?
What?
Who's this ginger with a bowl cut and a leather jacket? His design is awful.
Bill Burr as
oh my god, I would honestly, Bill Burr, like if you've seen him in F is for Family, he has like the right like angry 70s dad energy to pull off he's maybe not the right age. I would maybe go with someone who's a little younger, but I could see him doing it.
It would be funny if they adapted Guy Gardner as like the older, out of shape gym teacher Green Lantern, because that's what he was for a while.
Well, yeah, he originally was just a nice guy, and he had no other personality traits besides that.
But then they made him,
Yeah, and then they gave him a brain, and then they made him, and then they turned.
Bowl cut.
Yeah, they gave him a bowl cut, and they turned him into. They gave him a brain injury to explain why he's totally different.
I always thought either
you need to kind of combine those two. He needs to be like Mother's Milk, where he's a nice guy, but he's got anger and trauma under the surface that can boil up at any moment.
Just make him an asshole from Boston, bro. Like make him Bill Burr.
Boston. Isn't he? Isn't he from? He is from Boston.
I think he is.
Is Bill Burr? I thought
Bill Burr is from Boston.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was Boston or Philadelphia.
I always thought Alan Tudyk would be good as like the out of shape, older, middle-aged Green Lantern. Guy Gardner. Yeah,
he's a little too soft. You need someone a little gruffer.
Bill Burr.
Yeah. Although you need to get Bill Burr in a wig. So
yeah, that's true.
It'll be a little weird, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh no. Actually, if he gets who's the redhead from Breaking Bad?
Well, Bill Burr was in Breaking Bad.
No, there's another guy. He's a little heavyset. He was in Vice as well. He's like the guy. He's the narrator in Vice. Why am I forgetting his name?
Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, Jesse Plemons. Right. If you get Jesse Plemons to lose some weight in the face, he'd be perfect.
Yeah, he would be. And
really he's the right age. He's a little younger.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Ezra Miller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck. What do you want me to say, man?
I don't know. Like, what do you do with this project?
Probably. I don't know. Like, that's the thing is
because they're still content to release it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, like, bad publicity is still good publicity. I think so I'm speaking here as my cynical producer brain.
Okay.
My cynical producer brain is taking over here. The right thing to do is probably to still release it. Just so you can make some money back, and also it gives you an excuse to start over.
Yeah.
Also, as an aside, can I just say how angry I am that they decided to use, clearly aping off of the success of No Way Home, they decided to put Keaton's Batman in instead of just adapting Flashpoint and using Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman, because that's clearly the only reason why Snyder cast him as Batman. You don't cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne without the intention of using him to play Flashpoint Batman, which he would have been perfect as.
Yeah, he's essentially like him as the comedian.
I was gonna say,
That-
he's basically, I mean, with minus the humor, that's basically Flashpoint Batman.
Well, I think obviously bringing in Keaton as the Batman is to bring him in to replace Affleck.
Yeah, which is a terrible idea.
It is. But the thing is, this was going to be Affleck's last outing as Batman.
Yeah.
But then now with he's going to be in Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom.
Well, they reshot that so that Affleck is in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah,
whole
everything
thing.
is kind of up in the air. Like I said, I think the smart thing is just wipe
release it.
wipe the slate clean. Also, put Bruce Timm in charge of the cinematic universe.
I agree.
He managed to do it with the animated universe. He can do it again.
Him and Paul Dini and all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't let him ship Batman and Barbara.
Yeah, but I think that's what would happen if he was put in charge.
Look, you have David Zaslav. If you're listening to this, David, just tell Bruce, you can't ship them. You're only allowed to ship Barb with either Dick or Jason, and neither of those are going to work out, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately, Babs is just forever alone. I'm sorry.
So, one thing I would say, it's complicated because there's all sorts of money involved in terms of Flash film.
That's
They've
the other
invested all sorts
thing.
of time. I mean, this is insane for them to to cancel Batgirl and keep going with this. I understand it's not the same situation, but I don't know. When it comes to the ethical dilemma here.
That's why I said my cynical producer brain is the
my
one that's
God,
talking.
It's all sorts of a pretzel, man.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
insane.
if you really wanted to burn more cash, you could just because then
Reshoot? Because that's something
reshoot
they've
without
been
Ezra
saying.
Miller, which like you can
Recast.
cast someone who looks kind of like him. There's
They just
people,
need to reshoot.
people like that are a dime a dozen.
All they have to do is reshoot at the very end of the film where he dies,
Yeah, I mean,
and then we see Wally come in.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's possible.
Or I'm sorry, I keep on saying he when it should be they. I'm gonna make that mistake, just letting you all know. But Barry dies at the end of the film. Like he actually died, not a crisis death. I mean, he actually dies, and then Wally takes over.
Yeah, because as we know in comics, no one's ever really gone.
Except in this case, Barry Allen is actually dead.
Yeah,
And they either bring in
Wally
West,
Yeah,
or the Barry Allen from the CW, Grant Gustin, who was always more of a Barry
yes,
than Ezra.
yeah. Grant is really good.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I didn't say he and I think he and Iris West are probably my favorite part of that show.
Yeah, even though in the first season it was kind of weird because they grew up together and everything.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's not exactly Luke and Leia, but
No,
you
but
know,
it's
they're
fine.
next door.
It's fine.
You're pulling a Rich on me, dude.
I know. I know. It's literally what Rich says. It's fine.
It's fine. Whatever.
I'm willing to accept that. They're not related. That's all that matters. Also, they were friends. They knew each other before they grew up. So
Hey, it's all in the family, dude.
I
It's
accept
fine.
it.
It's fine.
Look, there are animes with way creepier plots than that. So
That's true. So
although maybe I shouldn't be using anime as a standard to judge things off of.
I can't believe I'm so lightheaded. I just went with it. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. When you use the anime analogy, that's awful. But when it comes to the Flash and the aftermath of it, I would hope, this is my hope for the Flash movie. They reshoot, they kill Barry Allen. It'll make the whole movie
That's if
worth
you can.
it.
That's if they can only reshoot if they find Ezra Miller. Good luck finding him,
dude. You don't even have to do it. Deep fake. Just deep
That's
fake.
true.
Just
They
deep fake.
honestly, they probably have taken a scan of Miller's head. So
Yeah, just get an actor who fits his proportions.
yeah,
Or their proportions. Deep fake on them, and then have him die.
and they did it with Tarkin. So
Yeah, and then he dies at the end of the film.
yeah.
And then it could either be Grant, because the Flash show is ending on season 9.
Yeah.
So there you go. We just fixed it. And then we get a whole new lineup. Because if they are bringing back Cavill and Affleck as Superman and Batman, just continue there. A new Flash. It'll probably be Wally West, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the case.
And then, we can just continue from there on. Because of all the return to the Snyderverse whatever that I've been hearing,
Yeah.
the main thing, aside from Amber Heard, that has been keeping it going is the Flash. You know, and Ezra Miller being involved. Like, how do you even do that? Just Wally West?
Yeah. Again, though, I don't know. It's everything seems so up in the air that, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they just cancel it outright. I wouldn't
just
be
everything.
Well, everything. Yeah, I don't know if they let something. I think at this point the only things they are definitely going to release are probably going to be Shazam, Black Adam, and the Flash, and then they'll probably end with the Flash. And
you mean within that universe, right?
Yeah.
Well, Peacemaker also the season.
They may cancel that too.
I don't. I mean, James Gunn recently said they're not going to. I mean, I hope it's not going to be canceled.
No, I would be. I like James Gunn. I would be interested to see what he continues to do with it. Like I've said to you in private. I hope he brings in more Charlton characters because the people don't they don't get as much love as they should.
Suicide Squad 2.
Is that filming?
The Suicide Squad. Well, no, it's not. But I hope that's not one of these canceled series because there are all sorts of other series and shows and movies that aren't happening anymore. Like, I remember years ago they announced they were going to do a Green Lantern. Speaking of Green Lantern,
yeah, they were doing. I think that's been quietly canceled.
Yeah, and it was going to be Guy Gardner.
Yeah, it was Guy Gardner was going to be in it. John Stewart was going to be in it. Alan Scott was going to be in it, which I don't know how you. Cool. I don't know how you do. I know there's like weird retcon ways that they've worked his origin into, like. Depending on which continuity, either like the world of Earth 1 or Earth 0.
Or Earth 2.
Well, in some continuities, he also exists in the mainstream continuity.
Is that post-Crisis?
I don't... Because
that's when they merged everything.
I think it was probably during post-Crisis. But yeah, Alan Scott and Jay Garrick are two of those characters like, don't even have the Justice Society exist on Earth 1 or Earth 0, just have it be on Earth 2.
Yeah.
Because then that's more worlds that you can make a movie out of. Have just a single one-off Justice Society movie. That would be nice.
God damn.
That'd be nice.
They need to... You know what? Actually, you're right. They just need to reboot this shit.
Yes, and you know what, David? If you're listening to this, bring me in. I have lots of ideas. At the very least, put Bruce Timm in charge. He's a competent man.
Please. He'll give you... I mean, you could literally just adapt everything of the Timmverse. Not 100% everything, because Batman and Harley Quinn I'm not too big a fan of, but...
No.
And I mean the film they did.
The fart joke in the car is stupid.
But mainly Justice League, Superman,
Yeah.
Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah. Well,
Fine.
Have you heard that they're doing another animated series with Bruce Timm and Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams? I don't know if it's Batman the Caped Crusader, which I'm excited to see. That's one of the animated stuff. That's the thing. As
I hope it wasn't canceled.
I'm hoping. Well, that's the thing is like the animated stuff and the live action stuff. It seems like they're still keeping separate.
But they are canceling some of the animated stuff, like Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I don't know. I would think honestly, what would be kind of nice is if they. I mean, this is something I've been thinking about too, is that if you introduce Batman as an older Batman where he already has, at the very least, he's gotten up to the point where he's got Tim Drake, Barbara's in a wheelchair. What you could do is you can have like a TV show that fills in his early days.
That'd be interesting.
Which would be nice. And that
cast a younger actor.
Yeah, either that or just do animation.
That it
could potentially be cheaper.
It could be, but that reminds me of what they did with Better Call Saul. They have an animated series called Slip and Jimmy, I think.
Yeah, and I've heard that's not very good.
Yeah. Not saying that this idea would inherently be bad. But,
no.
I mean, they're kind of doing that with the Marvel stuff.
Are they?
Well, kind of. I mean, they're.
I don't know when Moon Knight is supposed to take place.
Well, I think Moon Knight is just current.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a whole other podcast. Marvel's Phase 4 continuity is a whole other podcast that I would love to talk to you about. Okay. Even though you're not, you haven't seen anything. I will suffer through the Marvel movies to watch this. At the very least, find some you like. At the very least, I'm sure I'll enjoy, not Endgame, Infinity War. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one. Yeah. And the Spider-Man films.
I will probably enjoy those. It was one of those things where, like, when it came out, I was like, oh, I probably would like this, but I just don't have the energy to go see it. I would, if I were to watch them, because I've been been watching the Raimi movies for the first time. I had seen 3 before, but I hadn't seen 1 or 2. And I really like them. I really like them.
Wait, how recent was this?
Like, within the last week or 2.
You had never seen the Spider-Man films by Sam
No, because I was too young to watch them when they came out, and I was always a Batman fan, so I just never got around to watching them. Oh my goodness! I had the Lego sets
of the Sam Raimi.
Yeah, but yeah, I had seen 3 when I was like 9. It was shortly after it came out on DVD. I had seen like part of it.
You know what? I'm going to ask you to put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Because that is a podcast in of itself.
Okay, yeah.
And I would love to talk extensively about that because that's fascinating. But I think we're going to wrap it up. On
I was going to say, this seems like a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, because even though we could talk for hours upon hours hours, we have other shit to do today.
Yes.
And I enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much for joining me about this comic book bullshit.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
I love that we can tolerate comics together over the mic. And we can, maybe we'll tolerate The Flash when it comes out.
You never know.
Who knows? If it comes out, who knows?
It might be bearable.
I'm really hungry. So
I'm hungry too.
So maybe we'll get a bite to eat or something. Thanks so much for joining me, actually. Once again, is there any place that the people can find you?
Not at present. I'm setting up like a Wix.
Okay.
Because I recently graduated as a literature student, and I'm trying to put up a venue where like potential employers can find like my portfolio. I can maybe give that out in the next podcast that we do.
All right. Well, then that'll be a great one then.
Yeah.
All right, Exley. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Julius. This was Exley, Mr. X, as you were. And have a great one and stay safe. Goodbye.